Hi everybody, this is Manny from Team Nature Calls. As most of you know, after I do an adventure race, I like to write a race report about how the race went, talking about the course, talking about the legs, the controls, the difficulty of getting some of the controls, etc. And since this past weekend at the Father's Day adventure race on Saturday, I took so much video with my GoPro, I figured I would take some of that video and put it together, and while you guys can watch the video, you can also listen to my race report, which will be a voice race report. So I hope this turns out well, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and maybe I'll do it for my next race. So the 2016 Father's Day Adventure Race took place this past weekend at Little Big Econ State Forest. Jason and I were back together again as Team Nature Calls for this race. Dave Brault was the race director again, and he started the race with a prologue, as we usually do, in order to split up the teams a little bit. The prologue was a little unique. One person from each team had to run and get one control out of three possible controls that were out in the course. Jason was the one that we decided would run for our team, because I am a pretty bad runner and he's a good runner. So he started that section. I waited back for him at the paddle at the boat, which was going to be the main first leg of the race. It took Jason about 10 minutes, a little bit over 10 minutes, to get that control and head back to the boats. Meanwhile, I was back at the boat, getting everything ready for us, getting it in the water, and when I saw Jason come up, put it in the water, and as soon as he got there, we jumped on the boat and took off on the first paddling section. So Jason and I were one of the first teams to get on the river, on the Econ River, and we started off going upstream to go get CP1, which was the only control that was upstream. After we got it, we turned around and started going downstream to go get the rest of the controls. We made a small mistake when we got to CP2. We stopped too early and started looking for it a little too early. We had to make a couple more turns in the river before we were actually supposed to get it, but we lost a little bit of time here looking for it, and several of the teams got ahead of us at this point, but it was not really a big deal because we're all still pretty close. As we approached CP6, Jason and I decided that instead of paddling around this oxbow here that you can see on the map all the way from 6 to 7 and then turning around and coming back, that we would trek from 6 directly to 7 across the land. It looked like it was a fairly short trek, and we would just, probably gain some time instead of paddling down and against the current back. We did that, and the round trip only took us about 9 minutes, so it paid off big time for us. We ended up leapfrogging all the teams that were in front of us and ended up finishing the paddle in first place. So we were pretty happy about that and ready to go get on the foot section. The orienteering section, or the foot section for the race, was a lot of fun. It was a lot of bushwhacking, and it was just really cool. We had a really nice map, a very detailed map to get from checkpoint to checkpoint. But Dave, the race director, put the controls in some really neat places. So Jason and I started off really well, getting CPs 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 with barely any issues. We pretty much hit them right on. But we did have an issue right here when we got to CP13. As you can tell by our track, we went back and forth several times and could not find it. We basically almost gave up on it, but Jason decided, no, let's go back to the trail or to the spot that we know where we are, and let's attack it again. And if we don't find it at that point, we've wasted enough time. Let's go ahead and just, call it a day and get out of here. So we did. We attacked it one last time, and sure enough, as we were literally about to give up, I looked to my left and boom, there's the control. And I mean, one of the coolest things, as any adventure racer will tell you, is when you just find a control that you're just giving up on, and all of a sudden there it is. So we were pretty happy that we found it, got out of there, got the rest of the controls on the foot section fairly easy, and finished the race with just about 2 hours left for us to go get all the bike points. So we knew we had to hurry, we knew we had to bike fast, and so we wasted no time in doing that. So by now it started to get pretty hot, as you guys can imagine. It was now 10:30 plus in the morning, and it was pretty brutally hot out. We had both drank 2 full bladders at this point, one on the paddle and one on the trek, and we filled up another bladder because we knew the bike was going to be incredibly hot. Jason and I are really good bikers. It's our strongest leg by far. We have always been strong bikers. So we knew if we kept a really good pace on the bike and didn't make any mistakes, we could collect all the bike points in time before the time caught up. So we went at it, got across the river and started biking the trails, which we've biked several times before. The controls were all fairly easy to get. No issues shooting our bearings. We had to basically shoot a bearing from mile markers or location markers along the trails to find the controls. The last two controls, CP22 and CP23, we did not know where they were ahead of time, but we found out during the bike section. I believe it was Control 19 and Control 20 had the instructions on how to locate Controls 22 and Controls 23. Jason and I made a decision when we were close to, I believe we had probably about an hour left in the race, and we knew we still had another 2 trekking points after the bike. So we either had to cut our bike short and miss some controls to get those 2 trekking points, or we would get all the bike controls and leave those 2 trekking points out there. Since we're both good bikers and we enjoy being on the bike, and it was so hot, we decided to go ahead and get the bike points and skip the trek at the end of the race. And that's what we did. We collected all the bike points without issue, kept a really good pace out there, and finished the race at 12:59 p.m., literally 1 minute before the time cutoff. This was a great race for us. So in the end, even though we had to skip those last 2 trekking points we still had, we ended up collecting 24 total points, 24 controls, which was enough to give us the first place in the race. Second team, Lost Cause, came in with 18 points. So we were pretty happy that we got 6 more points than the second place. We ran a pretty solid race, made very little navigational mistakes, and ran a solid pace on the bike, run and paddle throughout the race. We were excited. Nature Calls back with a first place win, and cannot wait for the next one.